if you listen to the platitudes about the United States, one of them is the American dream is to make some money, get your own home. A lot of these landowners, my assumption would be, have lived here most of their life, lived in their homes for decades, and all of a sudden, you look out the window and there's a pipe going through, and all this. Can you kind of talk about? I know it's secondhand, but some of these landowners, their identity is that home. The upkeep with the home, the cows or animals in the yard. You said they're under attack. Can you kind of expand on that?
Yeah, I think, they just feel like, you think you have a home and a ranch and that you've got some security there. You've got financial security, but even more than that, you've got a level of security in your home and in having a home that should be, your sanctuary, your domain, and that it should be protected from outside assaults. And what they're learning is that's just not the case. That what they thought is theirs is not theirs. It's being stolen. It's being taken away. It's legal theft. It's institutionalized theft. And it's heart-wrenching. It really is. I mean, it's extremely unsettling because what you thought you knew, you didn't know. And what you thought you had, you don't have. And I think in a lot of ways, everything you thought was true is just not true. And it's these lies that we've been told about the American dream, about having this security and having these sorts of freedoms that are being systematically whittled away. And I think a lot of people are just in shock.
I also think when you compare to North Dakota, something I saw over and over, I mean, there's war crimes that were perpetrated there by police to unarmed people, tear gas, mace. A girl almost lost her arm. So a lot of veterans came in saying, I pledged to fight against foreign and domestic enemies. Well, if somebody's putting a pipe in your backyard that could explode or leak, I would think that's an enemy domestically. You mentioned the security aspect of this in terms of foreign, but I mean, this is literally a kind of legalized. I don't want to go as strong as terror, but it's close. If you're threatening people's land, really to no benefit. What's the benefit for them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they get a pittance of a monetary benefit from it, but does it offset the true risk that they're assuming? I don't think so. Absolutely not. And this ETP could sell this pipeline, turn around and sell it in a couple of years, and anybody could buy it. But the greater concern, again, is that this is a terrible precedent, that it's going to, this pipeline is bait for more pipelines, and that they're going to lay more pipelines in, again, adjacent to it, and have lateral lines running off of it, and that the oil and gas industry will say, hey, well, now we've got the infrastructure we've always needed. Let's go in and frack the hell out of it. And then we've lost, last best place in the state. Turn it into what you've seen up in the Permian Basin, which is a wasteland. It's literally a sacrifice zone for the oil and gas industry. And we don't want to be that. This place is too special. It's not just our homes. I mean, this is the background, the backyard for the state of Texas. I mean, this is where people, even in the oil and gas industry, come to recreate. And so it certainly doesn't make sense for us to sacrifice it, especially for such short-term goals. We all know that the oil and gas industry is really in its last gasp. It cannot last much longer because we're killing ourselves, and it's becoming more and more evident. I think the veil of truth is truly being lifted, especially now with the deep corruption that's becoming more and more evident. And I think things are reaching a critical mass. I think something is going to happen that will ultimately change law. But we can't let up. We've got to keep the pressure on. As these veils are lifted and we come to understand, even the wider public comes to understand things that some of us have known for a long time. We've got to leverage that. We've got to use that.
And I find interesting also that there's a lot of money men in New York and D.C., hedge fund guys that are actually starting to invest heavily in water. And we talk about, a lot of people think World War III is going to be over water. Well, we're in Texas. Drought is a hallmark here. And well, if you have explosions and these things, I think you need a lot of water. and another gentleman I spoke to talked about the water aspect. It's not enough water to go around for these potential problems. Can you kind of talk about, if you're talking about security, we just saw in Corpus Christi uh, the water contamination there. I've been to Flint and other areas. Water's also at jeopardy.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, if you live in the desert, water is such a scarce and precious commodity. And so it's a big concern of ours. I mean, we have enough water to support our people, our population here, which is relatively low. The greater concern is that our water sources will become contaminated, or that they'll be mined for municipal uses. Say for El Paso could come and try to tap our water and take it and ship it off. Those are concerns. We've got to protect our groundwater. And I do think that the next war will probably be fought over water, which is our most precious natural resource.
And lastly, you and I were talking before. You've always been kind of environmentally active. You probably from many battles you've had, you got a little worn out and took a break. But this was too big. This was too big a really threat that you kind of got back in. Can you kind of explain for you personally what drew you into this? Why you kind of came out of I don't want to say environmental retirement, but you had stepped away a little bit.
I had, I'd really decided that activism just wasn't, my forte. I'm better as doing quieter things, research and writing and things like that. I don't like being a spokesperson for a campaign. I don't like protesting, that kind of thing. But this was too important. This, you finally end up at a place where I think you feel that you really belong, and you put your foot down. You say, this is where I'm going to make my stand. And because this place is so special to me, I've invested here both, financially as well as emotionally. And have, everything I've done here since I've lived here has been about learning about the place and developing a sense of place. And that's what life is about to me. That's very important to me, to be in connection with the natural world and develop a deep tie to it, deep roots to it. And so basically, it was just the place that I had found that suited me the best, and where I decided basically, this is where I'll make my stand if I have to. And that's what it was. It's just, your home. And if someone breaks down your door and tries to assault your family and burn your house down, I mean, you're going to do what you can to defend it. And that's basically where I'm at and how I feel about it. So it's basically what drew me out of the closet, so to speak. It's just that sense of being assaulted, on your home turf. So that's basically what pulled me back in, screaming and crying the whole way, because I didn't want to be. And I've since, stepped out of it. You have to kind of, if you do become an activist, whether you want to or not, you have to occasionally step back and take a break and cycle back through it. But ultimately, I think
Same thing as a journalist.
Yeah, exactly. But I think right now, we're very lucky at this point, even though we've lost the campaign against the pipeline. This is a small piece of a much bigger puzzle, a much bigger problem. And I think as that veil is lifted and this project is connected to other projects, and we see that this is, really a massive problem that has got to be dealt with on a big level, at a big scale. I think that the work we've done has been worth it, in a sense. But it has not been ultimately rewarding in the short term. It's just been a real incredible drain emotionally. It's been the hardest year of my life, hardest 2 years of my life. And, I think we're all grieving at some level, and I think we all do it in a different way. But you just try to find a way to keep going. You've got to keep, you've got to keep going one way or another. But like I said, you got to cycle through. And I think eventually, like I am now, I'm finding my niche where I can best serve the cause without wearing myself out. And so my thing is not being in a leadership position, but more talking to media, that kind of thing. Also, I do videography and like drone work and stuff like that, writing. trying to share with other people the deep sense of gratification I get from the natural world. I think that's kind of the way I'm best able to serve, and so that's been a blessing that I've been able to kind of move into that realm, and other people have come in to fill the void, because I couldn't have continued to carry that on for much longer. It was driving me nuts.